Hello Total War fans and people who are here in general. We're going to do the first 5 turns of the Empire campaign in this video, and in the next 4 videos we're going to do the first 20 turns. And in each video, I may actually do it all in one go, but do it as 4 separate videos, but I haven't decided yet. The thing I'm going to be looking at mostly though is giving a brief rundown of what the main goal is for the 5 turns of the video, and what to watch out for in the 5 turns of the video. The first 5 turns of Empire are actually pretty straightforward. The main goal is to take over Reichland, which is this area, so destroy the Empire's secessionists. If you don't manage that in 5 turns, it's kind of a disaster, so try and get rid of them as quickly as possible. The only exception would be if one of the hordes come to attack you, then you can take a couple more turns than 5, but trying to get this area in 5 turns is the ideal goal. Now, I haven't played Total War in a long time. Again, I'm saying that every time I come into the video, but it's true every time I come into the video. Now, there are 2 things that are really important with the Empire. One is diplomacy. I think I talked about it in the last video about Empire, but basically you want to keep Wissenland, Stirland, Bretonnia and Talabacaland as your main allies. And the dwarfs, but they're not really important. Midland and Nordland are better keeping neutral unless you really want to fight them, but to be honest there's so many enemies to the south, I find personally it's not worth fighting Midland. It's worth making them join you later on. Keeping the dwarves kind of friendly, ignoring the orcs, and staying neutral in Marienburg unless you feel that you need to fight them. And I've played campaigns where I've taken Marienburg, and I've played campaigns where I haven't taken Marienburg, and both have been relatively fine.
My hand hovers close to my blade. Utter your demand before I raise it.
You can confederate them though, so keep that in mind. There can be a point where, for example, the Bretonnians are just beating the crap out of them, and you can make them join you towards the end of the fight, especially if you're part of the war with them as well. One of the first things I like to do though...
The Empire only cross the Grey Mountains when they need something from me. What is it this time?
The first thing I like to do when I'm playing as the Empire is make the Bretonnians nice and friendly by joining the war with Norsca. They're not going to attack you, so don't worry about it, and giving them a trade agreement. This in general will improve your diplomatic relationships with Bretonnia, which is very helpful for certain. I also do like to make friends with the dwarves if I can, though it doesn't always seem like an option. The best way to do it though is to join a war with all of the little crappy greenskins that aren't going to hurt you, because they can't get anywhere near you, and just add some extra things. Same thing, just getting... oh, that didn't work. Alright, well, we can have military access at least. Just so you can get a basic relationship going with the dwarfs as well. Late game, they're useful as an ally, so it's better to make them an ally early. There's no human team that I make particularly friendly.
I will listen, but my time is short.
But Wissenland, they don't want to do that yet. Okay, well, we can stick with that for turn number 1, no problem. In terms of building, I go back and forth deciding whether to upgrade the rally field, for the training field into the rally field, but I am going to destroy it later, so I don't think it's necessary. And I can manage to be honest with the units that we give to start with. First thing is to buff the army up a little bit, and it's a judgment call if you keep the halberdiers or not. You're not actually going to use them for a little while, but when the beastmen come they can be quite useful, and against some of the orcs they can be quite useful. So it may be worth keeping them, but you're not likely to use them in most battles, so keep that in mind. And we can't research anything until we've got a few more buildings, so that's all I can do for turn number 1. Nice and simple. It's important every turn to have a look at the diplomacy screen, because every time, as you can see here for example with Wissenland, I am improving my relationship just by existing and fighting with the Skull Takers. There is an algorithm for how they decide to help you for sure. I haven't actually been able to figure it out though, so the best thing to do is just try to improve relationships every turn with those that you want to keep as friends. Military
Surely an agreement will be reached. But are we not all sons of Sigmar?
Military access is usually a useful thing to have, especially considering there are some orcs down here that eventually can cause problems if you don't get rid of
I will
them.
listen, but my time is...
And it is a little bit tedious going through.
Come then. Only Sigmar's god Ulrich can judge it worthy or no.
Going through this every single time can be a bit tedious, but it will prove useful towards the end. And if we just check, we don't have a non-aggression pact with Midlands, so let's fix
Greetings
that.
on behalf of the Empire. Now what brings you here with a sheathed blade?
And I don't mind paying 200 for that, that's fine. Basically, I just don't want them to stab me in the back later on, so it's worth keeping them relatively sweet. And this army is good enough for the first fight, so let's go get rid of Helmet. And way, hello Skarsnik. You're already here. I would normally just auto-resolve these battles at this point because I've had them so many times, but just to give you a basic idea of how Empire fights work, may as well play out the fight. I think Empire and Dwarves are the only races that you can play kind of defensively and actually still do well late game. Early game is very much a slow build, a slow grind, and keeping your defenses as strong as possible. Making your capital city the strongest it can possibly be before advancing. Basic rule of thumb in this game is to build something so it is completely defensible, and then once you have it completely defensible, expand. It will also help with the chaos issue, because chaos actually comes not based on a turn timer, but based on various other things. I've played campaigns where I've been on turn 150 and still chaos haven't come. And when they do finally come, I'm completely ready for them. I've played other games where I've expanded very, very quickly and chaos have come by turn 40. And it's been very difficult for me to fight them off. So it's worth having a slow build, as opposed to building really quickly and then having to fight chaos. On medium difficulty you'll be fine, but if you're playing on a higher difficulty, they are going to come and they're going to cause all kinds of problems because you'll have too many enemies to face early on. So it's worth building up defensively. In terms of this fight, it's pretty straightforward. The two spearmen don't have any kind of shield, so you can basically pepper them with both your crossbowmen and your handgunners. The swordsmen can't contend with your 4 swordsmen, and the crossbowmen can't contend with your horses or the 2 long-range things if you want to. Spearmen and halberdiers I'm probably not going to use, and Karl Franz is going to fight Helmet himself. That's basically the thing. I'm going to do as much damage as I can with the the long-range weapons before I do anything with anybody else. And there's a nice big hill here, so let's use that. I'm not going to go chasing. Keep in mind that handgunners cannot shoot over allied units, so it's worth keeping them tucked in with, in fact, I may even put them in the middle. Just keeping them tucked in so you can countercharge anything that's going to try and attack them, and also they're in a pretty solid defensive position. Crossbows can shoot in an arc over friends though, so worth putting them behind. Spearmen are basically just in reserve in this fight, as are the halberdiers. And we're going to put them in guard mode too. The reason I put them in guard mode is so that they don't go chasing down the enemy, basically. And let's put Franz right in here, and everybody together. Start battle. If I remember rightly, if you hold down Alt, no, okay. Alt Shift, is it? No, okay. I don't know. I know there is some kind of key combination that allows you to move the whole army as you set them up, but I don't remember it. So instead, I'm going to have to do this in a micromanagement way, and which is kind of frustrating because I've just set them up. You can simply group, lock, and then move, but I'm not a big fan of that. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to sort out. So let's move everything loosely, and let's have the cavalry ready to charge in the flanks. Basic Empire strategy is that swordmen in this kind of army, swordsmen hold the line. The 2 long-range weapons, missile infantry, try and do damage to anything around, and the cavalry hits things from the side it's a very simple hammer and anvil style. And yeah, it's going to take a little while to get there, but try and aim your handgunners. Well, you can aim your handgunners at anybody because they can go through the shields, but it's best hitting the spearmen because they're going to break a lot quicker. So use both your missile infantry to take out the 2 spearmen unit in this particular battle. And make sure the spears don't get a charge or don't get engaged with your Reichland Knights. So let's actually put the gunners right here, along with the crossbows and swordsmen on either side of them. And the rest I don't care too much about. We're moving, okay. Try and stay out of the range of the crossbowmen, of course, which I'm not. In fact, let's speed you up. I'm hoping the crossbowmen are going to come quite far away so I can charge them down with the Reichland Knights, but to be honest, they're in range of my ranged weapons anyway, almost, so I'm quite happy with what they've done here. I was going to try and make them break quickly. This fight is actually pretty straightforward, as you probably are aware, but still. Now that they've left the safety of their friends, I'm quite happy to charge in the Reichland guards against the archers and shoot down the 2 spearmen units. If you press shift, you can give multiple orders, like I just did. And yeah, they're not going to last long. I want to kill as many of the enemy as I can in this battle so I don't have to fight them later. And I'm in danger here of hitting my own men, so let's move the gunners. Alright, let's make everything break. If everything's routing, the fight would be a lot easier. By the time they shoot, the cavalry should be out of the way, in theory, so we'll try and let that happen. And Spearmen has decided they want more fight. Great. That means I'll be able to kill a few more of them. I may even be able to kill all of them. Just caught in a crossfire of death here. And I would normally try and do as much damage as I can, so I'm going to do the same here, as opposed to what I did with the first Orc video where I just ended the battle, and it made it harder later on. It's never worth doing things that make the game harder for you, so if you can put down more of the enemy and make it so they can't fight back next time, then by all means do. It also gives you some much needed experience. Helmet's going to escape, but that's not such a big deal. And probably going to get rid of one of the units of spearmen, and maybe this unit of swords. Though Reichland Reichsguard Knights are not particularly good at fighting without charging, so better off letting the 2 infantry units trying to get rid of this swordsman unit and charging one last time against the crossbowmen to make sure they don't come back next turn to fight. Next battle to fight. That's going to take too long though, so never mind. Just going to take a coffee break. That fight's the easiest one, but the more damage that you do to the army, the less you have to fight when you inevitably go and take on the city that I'm about to take, which is going to be also during turn number 2. Turn number 1 is about building the army. Turn number 2 is about taking, I want to say Helmsgard, but I can't remember which one it actually is. It may be Grundsberg, but whichever one it is, taking that. After that we go for Eilhart, which is the border to Marienburg, and we finish with the border to the Bretonnians because, well, for 2 reasons. First of all, if the beastmen do come early, they're going to fight the Empire's secessionists before they fight you. I'll show you on the map in a second. And second of all, it's the place where you're best off keeping your army after you've finished off the secessionists, so it's worth taking that last. And third thing, actually, the biggest army is there, so your biggest fight is going to be there. So you can recover as much as possible while you take the other 2 cities. I lost quite a few more men than I used to in that fight, to be honest, but I'm not too worried. The swordsmen are actually expendable, so they basically are there to stand and die while the rest of the things sort out the army. So it's worth keeping that in mind. By turn 5 as well, I will have the first quest battle, but I don't think I'll be doing that until the second video. Oh, the loading screens. The only reason I haven't fired the halberdiers is because when the beastmen come, they have minotaurs, and the halberdiers are actually a good combat for the minotaurs. The spearmen are as well, to be honest, though I do prefer spearmen with shields, generally speaking, because most of the fighting we're going to be doing is against humans and orcs, and there's quite a lot of archers in both human and orc armies at times. The beastmen are not big on long-range units, so you don't need to worry too much about having shields, but the beastmen are the least of your worries, though they are a really real threat if you don't get rid of them quickly. But for example, Skarsnik is actually in our territory, as we saw just before this battle started, and he has quite a few units that can cause damage from long range. I don't really need to replenish my units too badly, because we're going to go straight to a fight and then stay in a city. We could do some extra leadership though, just in case for some reason the battle does go slightly south, so let's execute our opponents. And first mission is successful. Now we'll get the mission to take Grunberg. Grunberg is the city. So Helmsgard is the last one. Yes, okay. So basically, when you're doing this, Grunberg is your first target, Eilhart should be your second, and Helmgard your last, because the beastmen come from this way, and basically all of your enemies come from this way. I am kind of tempted to actually fight Skarsnik, but it's going to be a tough battle, so
I command here.
I may let him stay in my land for now.
Fight for our nation.
Okay then. Pretty sure that if you give yourself Root Marcher, you should actually be able to have that battle. But maybe I shouldn't have moved first, fair enough. Well, we're going to have to wait one turn then. That's a mistake on my side, I guess. In that case, let's move back into our own land, so we can get slight replenishment on our units. Helmut will as well, but his army is so thoroughly destroyed I'm not really worried about him getting a little bit of replenishment. If he's sensible, he will go back into the city though. Good, he's not sensible. Interesting, he's actually going to be someone else to fight in Helmgard. That's going to be a slight problem. It makes Brunberg an easy fight though. Oh, I'm so tempted to resolve this, but never mind. There's a good chance I can win this fight without the enemy even coming close to me, so let's do that. Yeah, these videos are going to be long, mostly because of loading screens. That's kind of annoying, but never mind. Definitely going to do this in more than one sitting, maybe two. I'm playing on medium setting, by the way, and the reason I'm playing on medium setting is not because I'm afraid of hard setting, it's because I can talk and do things at the same time, whereas on hard setting I think I'd actually struggle to do both things at once. I normally do play on hard mode though, I don't normally play on medium. So I'm expecting actually that the map things are going to be simpler than they would be on hard, because that makes sense, wouldn't it? And the main strategy here is going to be very simply just try and get rid of the spearmen before they even come close with the crossbows and the handgunners. Maybe do some charging with the Reiksguard, but keep the infantry close just in case it goes slightly south. Minimum losses are the key, so I'm not going to charge the Reiksguard in unless they can get a very decent charge where they're going to hit the flank or the front, or the back, sorry, the flank or the rear. No frontal charges if possible. Though charging a unit of swordsmen wouldn't be too bad. Oh, this is an awkward map. Right. Most likely they're going to set up here. If they don't, they're stupid. So, with that in mind, Jesus. Or maybe they'll set up a bit further back. Maybe I can take advantage of the hill. Don't like that very much though. I may actually set up in the trees, force them to come out. Thank you for the order. I appreciate it. No, you don't. The first thing they've said that I agree with. We must be triumphant. Just trying to keep everything hidden. That'll do. And we'll keep the Reiksguard. The problem with putting Reiksguard in the trees is that they slow down. They lose slight charge bonus walking through trees, so it's a way of keeping that in mind. Okay, so they're staying on the hill. That's pretty bad news. Well, there's no enemy range, so we can do our best actually to cause problems from the flanks. And we may put the spearmen and the halberdiers just here in support of the ranged units, just in case. I would actually kind of like to get the gunmen shooting at swordsmen, because the spearmen are likely to break quicker. The problem that will have though is that the gunners might end up behind the crossbowmen, so okay, they're on the move. That's it, bring some spearmen forward. In fact, let's put them down, and let's move you first, quickly. No, will be enough. Yeah, this is going to be problematic. Let's get ready into a backward position. Good, give me some back shots, I like it. I'm going to lose more men than is necessary again here, but still. Focused a bit too hard on getting rid of these 2 spear units there. They've done enough work though. It's going to be a full rout from this charge probably. And if we actually put them onto pursuit, it shouldn't be a problem. There's one thing I don't like about this setting when you're actually fighting a village, and that is that the enemy rout instead of fighting to the last man. I wish that both the enemy and your own men were unable to retreat in these situations. Because this army is dead now. Even though they still have all of this army, the army is gone just because they routed. And I take the city, the army is no more. Easy victory. Kind of feel like the village and city battle should be a little bit harder and it should be more difficult to make the enemy rout, just because they're defending for their homeland. Alright, when we're on this loading screen, there's one thing I'd actually like to do, and that is that I'd like to set up an invitational for Total War and also for Wartime, both games, where we just have the same thing, one general for Total War and one, I don't know, captain, I guess, for Wartime, playing each of the races, and we have a competition. And in Warhammer and also in Wartime, we'd all battle each other once, and whoever has the best score at the end wins. Obviously in Wartime it works like Blood Bowl, where you can actually advance your skirmish group, whereas in Warhammer you have a fresh army every single time, so there's no army development in the Warhammer game, unfortunately, but it will still be an interesting tactical thing. I expect that most of you guys will completely kick my ass, but it'd be nice to just have this battle, and I'm quite happy taking the last leftover race in both scenarios. So if you are interested in being part of a Total War tournament, or if you are interested in being part of a Wartime tournament, then do let me know on my Discord page, and I'll try and set it up, especially if we have enough people. I'm also really looking forward to the Total War Warhammer 2 game, which is out in 8 days at time of recording. 12 days, sorry, at time of recording. Even better. So, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing just Total War 1 stuff, but I'll definitely do some Total War 2 stuff for a while, and then maybe go back to Total War 1 and have a look at the map as one big, huge map, because that's going to be fun. And the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is play as lizards, because God, I've been looking forward to playing as lizards for a long time.
As is my right by Sigmar's crown.
It's worth keep.
Your burgeoning realm grows, Your Eminence, yet many evils still abound in this world. The Empire remains divided, and marauding greenskins still threaten your lands. Further afield, there are rumors of a dark force rising in the east, spreading the taint of undeath. You must remain vigilant.
Thank you, random helper guy. So, a fractured nation, occupy, loot, raise, or sack 2 different settlements. As I understand it, the introduction of chaos is based on these objectives. I think when you get to the 10 part, you get the first chaos waves. I think that's how it works, but I haven't tested it enough to be certain. Though it seems to be that's the way it's working. And also we have our quest issued. I would highly recommend not doing this quest until you've secured Reichland, just because it's too far away basically. Your momentum is Eilhart and Helmgart, then back. But I'd recommend taking Reiksgard and also fighting off the Beastmen before you attempt this quest. Because once you've taken Grunberg, Eilhart and Helmgard, it's much easier to do this quest safely. I always take Route Marcher first when playing as anybody actually, because it's useful having that extra movement. I'm also quite a big fan of basically taking one of each of the starting points and then making a specific army from there. You can take things like Warhorse, but one thing that a lot of people don't know actually, when you've taken the Warhorse you can actually remove it from your general, and the reason why you should do that is because the Warhorse, the Imperial Pegasus and Deathclaw himself, they all cost upkeep, and if you take them off when you're not fighting, your upkeep will be less. So if you're not planning to fight anytime soon, then take the Warhorse off the general. Okay, so it's going to take me actually 6 turns to get to Helmgart, which is a problem, but it's not a huge problem, it's doable. And if I remember rightly, Helmgart is the place that has the... yes it is, it's the place that has the second training field, so I'm kind of stuck with what I have at the moment. I could do more long-range weapons, so I am going to temporarily build the rally field, but I will delete it later. And we're going to take the extra swordsmen because they're going to be useful, and we can kind of do with the army being a bit bigger in general. I'm not a big fan of free company militia myself. I'm more a fan of just having really long-range weapons and some short-range anvils. So let's just make a bigger anvil for now. And have a look at the diplomacy. I don't expect much has changed, but we can check.
Approach and make your offer.
There we go, that's a start.
No promises.
Increasing income, always a good idea.
By Sigma's will, come in peace.
I doubt it. Oh, good.
Approach as friend and make your offer.
I'd recommend going against the defensive alliance until you're offered it, just because, and I wouldn't take a defensive alliance with anybody apart from Talabheland and Wissenland, not even Stirland. Stirland will just drag you into too many wars. And if we go with the dwarves as well, that's not the dwarves as well.
Greetings, Sigma's chosen.
Thank you, gruff dwarfman. Let's join the rest of the wars for a defensive alliance. There we go. One thing that you can do as well is you can actually control what's happening in the dwarf war. So you can actually lead all of your enemies to take certain parts. For example, it's not likely the dwarves would take bloody spears if I don't tell them to. They won't actually do what they're supposed to do. And we can be friendly with the other two as well.
Stands ready. Do not disappoint.
I'll do my best, Armor Face.
Make your proposal, my long beard.
It's worth making friends with all these three for the same reason as you make friends with the dwarves, just so you can control where their war goes. I do the same for the main Bretonnian factions, but I don't do it for the lesser Bretonnian factions. So Bordelot, Karasco, sure, but the rest I don't bother. And humans, like I say, Wissenland, Talabheland, and with the dwarves, basically all of them, so you can control the dwarf war. They will eventually win on their own, but if you control what they're doing, they'll win a hell of a lot quicker.
Who calls?
As you see, the dwarves have for some reason gone down into... Wow, they lost Barak Far. Are you joking? Ah, there you go, they've confederated. Fair enough. They've confederated and they've lost to Scabby Eye. What the hell is going on with the dwarves there? Well, never mind. As long as they secure this area, the dwarves will be fine. Alright then, so... Grunberg is ready to upgrade. That's good. Better defenses.
I am Prince and Emperor.
Oh, yes you are.
As you said.
I'm going to actually march this turn. I can't remember which way we do it. We go through here and there, I think. Because we can't go that way. No. I'm going to put the army on a march this turn just so I can get to Eilhart on time, because otherwise I'm going to be late. I'm already late, I'm a turn behind. There's a good chance that Hans is going to move to Helmgard this turn, so there's another chance he's going to meet me in the field. That would be perfect.
I command here.
In fact, I actually hope that they both come and attack me this turn, because that will make taking Eilhart and Helmgard even easier. So moving here is a good idea. Though just remember to knock your pieces off march after you've done this, so they do get a decent charge. And I still think Eilhart is worth taking before Helmgard. Righto. So we're going to the last turn now. I didn't do the diplomacy that turn, did I? Ah, never mind. It'll be fine. They don't get anxiety from me not talking to them, at least. To be honest, most of my friendships are made as well now. We're switching position, that's fair enough. We get one more chance to fight Hans, as an ambush apparently. Right, let's switch back to...
Empire's blessings, yes.
We can now make technology. The way you do technology is completely up to you, but I think leadership is the most important out of these three options, over experience and definitely over speed. I usually go leadership, speed, experience with the rally field, so that's what I'm going to go for again. And make sure that you don't destroy the rally field until you're done with the research, or that you have the same building here. Quite important. And it's not really a big deal if we get ambushed. It's not going to hurt us too much, so let's go take Eilhart.
Fight for our nation.
No, the ambush failed anyway. Good.
And I will fight with you.
Alright, Hans isn't even going to fight. That's a shame. But alright, we're at the end of turn 5, so let's actually have the battle one last time. God, I feel like this video is going to be boring, but we'll see. Well, on the plus side, the second 5 turns are going to be more interesting. There's going to be the quest battle, there's going to be the final battle against the secessionists, and there's probably going to be a fight with beastmen and maybe even orcs, because that's what usually happens between turn 5 and 10. Especially if the Skull Takers, I think they're called the Skull Takers, the Orc Horde come towards us. To be honest, because we have the numbers to completely overwhelm this army, I may just march in the swordsmen straight away into the front line and use the horse and archers to just pick off the straddlers. Oh no, it's an open field. I will be fine then. If you hold Katal and double click, you'll get all of one unit in grouped together. That's what I do when I make it work. We'll keep the crossbow slightly behind. Fantastic. Thank you. I will. Alright then. I can't really see them setting up anywhere but here, to be honest. Or maybe on this hill. That'd be kind of weird. Yep, as always, the AI are pretty damn stupid when it comes to understanding field position. How far do we need to go? We need to go to about here, I think. Good. That'll do. That'll do, donkey. That'll do. Where are we going? We're going now. To be honest, you may as well run, guys. Go run. Just want to get maximum damage out of you before all carnage breaks loose. Hopefully that'll be a thing. We may not be far enough forward actually with the infantry here. Doesn't look like we are.
State troops ready!
I'm guessing about here in the end. Yeah, about here.
Heading out!
Open fire! They're going to get about 3 volleys off before they're going to have to retreat, it's not a big deal.
We are Sigmar's heirs! Sigmar calls!
Oh, one more volley. You can do it. You can do it. Maybe you can't. That'll do me.
Seeking enemy quick march! Swordsman!
Righto.
Charge! Sir! Fight for Sigmar's cause!
That's worth unlocking everybody up now.
You are ready for war! Ready! For the Emperor! Yes, General! Sigmar battle order! For the Emperor! Ready to fire!
That'll do it.
Heading out!
If we move the handgunners into a position where they can actually unleash on the flanks, that'll be very helpful. We can get some kills out of them as well. So to be honest, that should do it.
We obey! Ready! Prepare for combat!
No, that's no good. That's no good. That's not going to be a very good charge. That's better. That's much better. And probably ended the battle.
Crossbowmen!
Easy.
Handgunners!
With the sheer numbers, it would be easy, wouldn't it? So that's fair. No, we don't need to kill things. That's fine. Right, so I'm probably going to call it quits here in this video. So that's the first 5 turns. The mission is basically to get all of Reiksguard, like I said. I will have it, Reikland, sorry, like I said, I will have it all by turn 6. So close enough, I guess. Just to save you from watching the loadout screen one more time, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'll do the end of turn 5 as well in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.